Hey everyone, welcome back to my channel. My name's Andres, and today I'll be talking about the Black Swordsman arc in Berserk, which is the first arc. I think it's volume 1 and 2 in the manga. I'll go over like a short summary and go over my personal impressions and some interesting observations I found regarding Berserk, and it's I guess what it's influenced by, at least initially. I guess as a caveat, I have seen in the past the Golden Age Berserk movie, so that's the second arc in the manga. I don't remember much of it though, but I do remember the very traumatizing ending that obviously everyone was really surprised by. So I do have that in the back of my head. I do expect to know what's coming. But yeah, I will give my thoughts of my initial impressions of the manga as of now. And I will say first thing, the art seems very mixed in my opinion. It's very descriptive and there's like a lot of spreads of like a lot of the action, but it sometimes is hard to decipher, at least for me, what is really going on and how we went from the previous panel to the big one. So I would say the action sometimes is kind of hard to follow, but it's very descriptive. And he definitely, I think, at this point is obviously like I'm sure it'll get better as time goes along. I know people praise the art for Berserk, but it just seems very clear that he's still learning as he's going. He's still mastering his craft. He's still diving into this world and the characters and everything. Guts as a character initially seems pretty one note, I would say. He seems to be one of those guys that believes that the weak should all die and they're useless, and he only really cares about his pursuit to like kill and defeat the God Hand, and he doesn't really care about any collateral damage for the most part. As we go on in this manga, I do feel like we do see more of him caring and like, or the facade kind of breaks, and it does seem like he's just putting up a strong front, like a fake one, just so he doesn't get hurt because he's been hurt, in the past, which is what the next arc is about. The part I like the least, and this is probably a recurring thing. I'm assuming I didn't read much about like the Reddit and people's opinion about this specific character, but Puck. There's a character called Puck who's a fairy, and I did not like him at all. Maybe we'll get more backstory as the story goes along, or I'll grow to love him. But as of now, Puck seems very annoying. I don't like that. I don't like the contrast between him being very like whimsical, lighthearted, and the contrast with that, and then kind of the world and Guts being very dark, very messed up. It just, at least for me right now, feels out of place. As I said, not that much of a fan of it, but I could see, he maybe trying to add maybe some levity, or he'll do something more interesting with the character later on. Now I want to talk about the ending of the story because I feel like that's the most important part. Before the ending, it feels fairly generic. But the ending I thought was really cool. The introduction of the God Hand and just showing like the Behelit and then summoning the God Hand were in this new like transported realm. The God Hand, they all look really cool. I like their designs. I think in terms of like manga, they're very unique, but here is where I don't know if this is a problem for people. I personally don't have an issue with it, but it is very, very, very clearly influenced by the Hellraiser movies, particularly, I would say, the first two or three Hellraiser movies. And if you are not familiar with Hellraiser, it's a horror series like Friday the 13th or Nightmare on Elm Street. The main antagonist of this series is Pinhead, and essentially he kind of has this puzzle box that people open, and they're told that it'll give them like their greatest desire, but then it turns out that no, Pinhead just comes out most of the time and just haunts these people and like does horrible things to them. I really, if you want to watch those movies just to see, I guess, the influence of a lot of this stuff, I would recommend just watching probably the first two, maybe three movies of the series. Particularly the second one, I think, is the best one. The first one is more of a messed up love story. It's still a really good movie, but the lore of Pinhead and this world gets more realized in the second one. And then the third one is just kind of schlocky, guilty pleasure fun. It's just a really silly movie, especially by the end. But yeah, the specific influences and similarities I see between Hellraiser and this God Hand and Berserk is specifically starting out with the Behelit, the egg. It's very similar to the puzzle box from the Hellraiser movies. In the Hellraiser movies, the puzzle box, and especially in the second one, they find a way. Maybe I'm misremembering, but they find a way to open a gateway into the Cenobite, which Pinhead is one of the Cenobites, which are these demons, into the Cenobite hell or world, and it seems similar to the puzzle box in that aspect. The other similarity is the actual hell or setting. So where the God Hand is at, this like maze-like structure, and the Cenobite hell look very similar. Maybe Hellraiser has an influence that it's deriving from, and maybe Kentaro also got that influence from this other. I don't know, but to me it seems like he very much is a fan of the Hellraiser movies. Then the Cenobites themselves, the antagonists from Hellraiser and the God Hand, they have a very much like leather S&M kind of look. So it's a very similar look, I would say. From my personal opinion, the God Hand looks way cooler than the Cenobites. The Cenobites, especially later on, by the third movie, they look very silly. But yeah, I feel like that's another thing he really was inspired by. Yeah, I mean, I would say those are the things that really stood out to me from the Hellraiser movies and Berserk. The setting obviously is very different. The Guts as a character, obviously we don't have a Guts in the Hellraiser movies, and also the Hellraiser movies are horror. There's no action whatsoever for the most part. I've seen, I think, pretty much all of them, even the really really bad ones. I do not recommend you guys to check out the like direct to DVD ones. Those are all terrible. Don't watch those if you're interested. As I said, just watch the first three. But yeah, despite that, I am still obviously going to keep reading Berserk. I know what happens in the Golden Age arc, but I'm going to keep reading. I am intrigued, and I'm sure that Kentaro probably will take this initial idea and just go from there and make things way more interesting than any of the Hellraiser movies did. I fully trust in his ability, and I'm sure he kind of just used this as a jumping off point for like the villains, and maybe we'll see more apostles that are very unique and very different. Or I honestly, I have no idea about what comes next, but I'm looking forward to it. So yeah, let me know what you guys think about the Dark Swordsman arc. Do you like it? Do you not like it? Do you recommend people to start out with that, or to maybe just skip that and start with the Golden Age arc? I'll definitely be making a video, as I said, about the Golden Age arc and my thoughts on it. Thank you so much for watching. Please make sure to like, comment, and subscribe. Bye.